Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into something huge, maybe the biggest question we carry around often without even realizing it.
Definitely.
It shapes, well, everything. How you see your job, your relationships, success, failure, all of it.
So what is it?
Are we actually free, making our own choices? Or is it all, mapped out, like we're just actors following a script written way before we showed up?
That's the fundamental tension, isn't it? Our
Mm,
sense of freedom versus this idea of maybe destiny or divine knowledge.
Right. And our source material today, it's excerpts from Abdul-Majid Bawlani's work, takes a really interesting approach.
Yeah, it's not coming from a place of religious authority laying down the law. It's more human, like an ordinary person wrestling with these huge ideas.
Trying to understand them. He talks about it as loving the mind God gave us. Seeking knowledge that actually liberates you, not just tells you what to think.
And that's key, that idea of knowledge that frees us. That's our mission for this deep dive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because asking these big questions like, am I really in control?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that feels scary, like you're doubting.
Mm-hmm.
But the author says, no, this isn't doubting. This is using the tools we were given. It's an invitation, really, to just stand honestly in front of that mirror of truth.
So we're going to explore how faith, reason, even science, and definitely personal responsibility all weave together when we think about destiny. We want insights that empower, not just resign us to fate.
Yeah, looking for agency, not just easy answers that might numb us out.
Because if faith just demanded silence, blind obedience, what would be the point of having this incredible capacity for reason, for questioning?
Right. It seems like the whole design encourages inquiry, honest reflection. That itself feels like, an act of devotion, maybe.
It's about finding that space where our consciousness, our awareness, really comes alive.
Okay, let's start with something I think everyone feels sometimes, that sense of just drifting.
Yep.
Like you wake up and life's just sort of happening to you. The job you fell into, the routines that just built up over time. Maybe even your thoughts feel like reruns.
The source uses this great example, Sam, this guy who keeps hitting snooze, always late, stuck in the same pattern.
And he tells himself, tomorrow I'll be different. But tomorrow comes, and same story. He feels like he's on a boat, but he lost the oars somewhere.
That feeling, being dragged along, it's so relatable. And that's exactly when those familiar phrases pop up,
Yeah,
right?
everything's written.
It's just fate. It's God's will.
They feel comforting in the moment, like they explain why things are tough or why you messed up again.
They do offer relief, absolutely, but the author makes a crucial point. While they comfort, they also kind of numb you.
Numb you, how so?
Well, they explain the situation, sure, but they also completely remove your personal stake in changing it. If it's all written, why bother trying? They explain, but they don't free.
That's powerful. Accepting that everything's locked down means you basically surrender your will, your power to choose differently.
Exactly, and the source argues, look, the divine invitation throughout history hasn't been towards silence, but towards reflection, towards choice.
Why give us this complex brain capable of doubt and reason if the only thing wanted was quiet obedience? It doesn't quite add up.
It doesn't, and the source points to scriptures that directly challenge the mind versus like, whoever wills, let them believe, and whoever wills, let them disbelieve.
That's not dictation. That's like,
Yeah.
here are two doors, you choose. It acknowledges your autonomy.
It does, or even more directly, the call to bring your proof if you are truthful. That's a command aimed squarely at the intellect. Think about that.
Yeah, in religious texts, that's pretty striking. It's like the creator saying, engage your mind. Don't just accept blindly. Bring your evidence.
Yeah.
It assumes a thinking partner, not just a servant.
It implies that real belief needs a solid anchor, something reasoned, even if that proof is internal or based on experience.
And this connects to something the author highlights as incredibly significant. The very first word revealed in the Islamic tradition.
Iqra, read.
Not pray, not obey, not submit, but read.
Think about the implications of that. What does it mean to put read first?
Well, it immediately puts knowledge, inquiry, understanding right at the foundation, before anything else.
Exactly. Reading or, observing, studying, thinking critically, that's presented as the first step towards awareness. And you absolutely need awareness before you can exercise genuine freedom.
So, engaging with texts, with ideas, with the world. That's the starting point for becoming a conscious agent.
Right. The author even suggests reading sacred texts as if you're the first person ever encountering them, letting them challenge you, provoke you, not just confirm what you already think you know.
This feels incredibly relevant today, doesn't it? Because our questions about control, about free will, they're maybe more complicated than ever.
For sure. We're wrestling with genetics, upbringing, psychology, social media influence.
Yeah, are my decisions really mine or just some complex output of my brain's programming and everything I've absorbed?
And that's precisely why we need a faith or just a framework that embraces reason, that welcomes these tough questions.
If we just shut down the questions by saying, oh, God knows everything, don't worry about it, we're ignoring the other tools we've been given, our intellect, our ability to analyze.
So this first part is really about laying the groundwork, acknowledging that the capacity to stop, to reflect, and crucially, to choose differently. That's not just some illusion, it's fundamental, it's a gift. And understanding that prepares us for the next big hurdle.
Okay, so foundation laid. Awareness is key, choice is real. But now, the big one, the classic problem.
Yeah, the foreknowledge paradox.
If God is all-knowing, if
Yeah.
he already knows every single thing I'm going to do, my mistakes, my
Right.
successes, how it all ends, how can I possibly be truly free?
It feels like a checkmate, doesn't it? Like, if the end is already known, the path must be fixed.
Exactly. Am I just walking a predetermined path, acting out a script he's already read?
This is where the source brings in some really helpful analogies. The whole point is to carefully pull apart two ideas we tend to mash together: knowing something and causing something.
Okay. Knowing versus causing. Let's hear the analogies. What's the first one?
Okay, imagine you're walking in a thick forest and you reach a fork in the path. Your friend is, let's say, in a balloon high above, watching you.
Okay.
And based on knowing you really well, your habits, maybe which way you usually turn your friend knows with absolute certainty which path you will choose.
Right.
Did their knowing force your feet down that specific path?
No. I mean, I chose it because of my own reasons and my own inclinations in that moment.
Exactly. Your friend's knowledge perfectly reflected your choice, but it didn't compel your choice.
Yeah.
Their certainty wasn't the cause.
Wait. If they knew with absolute certainty, doesn't that mean it was inevitable that I couldn't have chosen the other path? It still feels a bit like splitting hairs.
It's tricky, but the distinction is crucial. Think about time. From our viewpoint, stuck in linear time, the future feels open, full of possibilities. Right. But imagine God exists outside of time, seeing past, present, future all at once, like a single landscape.
Okay, like watching a whole movie timeline simultaneously.
Sort of. This brings us to the second analogy: the teacher and the test. A really experienced teacher looks at a student who hasn't studied at all, hasn't shown up, nothing. The teacher knows with certainty this student is going to fail the final exam.
Yeah, okay. That seems plausible.
Does the teacher's knowledge cause the student to fail?
No, the student fails because they didn't do the work. The teacher just accurately predicted the outcome based on the student's actions or lack thereof.
Precisely. The knowledge is perfect, predictive, but it's not the causal agent. God's foreknowledge, in this view, is like that teacher's certainty or the friend seeing the whole path. He sees the choices you will make, but he isn't forcing your hand.
So, he knows the end of the movie because he sees the whole reel at once, but the characters, us, we're the ones writing the dialogue and actions moment by moment through our choices.
That's the idea. And this is essential for understanding accountability. If God forced everything, holding us responsible would make no sense. It would be unjust.
Right. So why are we held accountable if you already knew the outcome?
Because the judgment isn't based on his prior knowledge. It's based only on the actions we took, the choices we made willingly and consciously from our own volition. His knowing doesn't cancel out our choosing.
It's fascinating how this philosophical problem bumps right up against modern science, especially neuroscience.
Absolutely. There was that wave of studies, showing brain activity before people were consciously aware of making a decision.
Yeah, the Libet experiment and
Yeah.
others. That made it seem like, okay, maybe free will is just an illusion. Our brain decides, and then consciousness catches up and claims ownership.
It definitely fueled that interpretation. But more recent research has added nuance. It suggests that even if the brain initiates an impulse or prepares an action, there's often still a crucial window, a moment for conscious awareness to step in and say yes or no, the so-called veto power.
The power to stop yourself, to override the initial impulse or the ingrained habit.
Exactly. You might feel the urge to snap back angrily, the brain pathways light up, but you can consciously choose to pause, take a breath, and respond differently. That conscious intervention, that veto, is where responsibility lies.
If we didn't have that final check, yeah, judgment would seem unfair.
Yeah.
But because we can intervene, we're accountable for what we ultimately allow to happen.
Right. And the source also draws a parallel, perhaps more metaphorically, with quantum physics.
How does that fit in?
Well, the strangeness at the quantum level, particles changing based on observation, things not being fixed until measured, suggests that the universe isn't just this predetermined clockwork machine, like Newton thought.
Okay. It's more fluid, responsive.
Maybe. The idea the author uses is, if indeterminacy and responsiveness are woven into the very fabric of reality, how could freedom be completely absent from conscious beings within that reality? It hints at a universe that allows for, and perhaps even requires, genuine choice.
So, wrapping up this part, the metaphor holds. God didn't write your life like a scriptwriter,
Right.
but he has read the book you're writing, cover to cover, because he sees the whole timeline. You're the author, making choices every day.
And internalizing that shift is huge. If you believe God forced your failures, you have an excuse forever. You never take ownership.
And no ownership means no change.
Exactly. But if you grasp that his knowing doesn't equal his forcing, then suddenly the pen is back in your hand. You're free to start writing a different story. That's the doorway to growth.
Okay, so we have this capacity for choice, this will. It's fundamental. But let's be honest, most of the time, maybe we don't feel that powerful. We feel weak, reactive, like puppets sometimes.
It's a common feeling. So first, maybe we should clarify what we mean by will. It's not just some grand philosophical thing.
Right, it happens in the small moments.
Totally. The choice to actually get out of bed when the alarm goes off instead of hitting snooze for the 5th time.
Or the choice to forgive someone when everything in you wants to hold on to the anger. Or just choosing to be honest when a lie would be easier.
Those quiet internal decisions, that's where the will operates daily. And that's exactly what's under constant subtle attack. The source identifies these silent thieves of freedom.
Silent thieves. Okay, I like that. What are they?
Things that make us feel like we're puppets on a string when really we're just running old programs we didn't consciously install.
Okay, thief number 1.
Subconscious programming, all that baggage we picked up, often before we could even think critically about it.
Like things you heard as a kid.
Exactly. Labels, you're the lazy one, you'll never be good at math. Societal expectations, what success should look like. Gender roles, family patterns, cultural norms, maybe even traumas.
And this stuff just runs in the background, guiding our choices without us realizing it.
Very often, yes. We think we're freely choosing to be cautious about money, but maybe we're just running a scarcity program installed decades ago. Overcoming that takes real awareness, real effort, which loops back to that first idea. Read. Read yourself. Understand your programming.
Okay, subconscious programming. What's the second thief?
Habits. This is a big one. We mistake routine for destiny.
How so?
We just repeat yesterday. We eat the same things, react the same way, scroll through the same apps, think the same thoughts. Not because we're consciously choosing to, but because it's the path of least resistance.
We're on autopilot.
Completely. The will is bypassed. We're functioning like a machine running on habit loops. And then when the results aren't great, we might sigh and say, well, guess it's just my fate to be overweight, stressed, unproductive.
But really, it's the fate of living unconsciously.
Precisely. Real freedom requires consciously interrupting those automatic patterns, even in small ways.
Makes sense. And the third thief. You mentioned it's especially relevant now.
Yeah. External influence, the sheer volume of noise coming at us.
Media, advertising, social media.
All of it.
Yeah.
It's constantly planting desires, opinions, and decisions in our minds, but it's incredibly sneaky. It convinces us that we came up with the idea.
I really need that new phone. I have to agree with his opinion to fit in.
Right. You feel the desire, the urge, the opinion, and you think, this is my choice, my thought. But was it? Or was it carefully crafted and delivered by an algorithm, an advertisement, or social pressure?
So awareness here means being able to pause and ask, where did this desire actually come from? Is it truly mine?
Exactly. It's about reclaiming your authentic inner voice from the constant external bombardment, using the awareness God gave us to differentiate.
Okay, these thieves are powerful. But we also need to acknowledge the real limits, right? We don't choose everything.
Absolutely not. We don't choose our parents, our country of birth, our basic genetic makeup, our initial economic status, major world events. There's a huge amount we don't control.
So where does freedom fit in then, if so much is outside our control?
The source argues that true freedom isn't about controlling the external world. It's about choosing our response to it, our stance within those uncontrollable circumstances.
How we react, how we frame it, what we decide to do about it.
Yes. And this connects directly to responsibility. The moment you blame everything on fate, or external factors. It's not my fault I failed. The system is rigged. I can't help being angry. They provoked me. You give away your power.
Because if it's not your fault, you don't feel responsible for changing it.
Exactly. You become passive. The source links freedom and responsibility inextricably. You're free enough to be held accountable for your choices within your circumstances. That freedom is sufficient for judgment, for reward, and crucially, for growth.
This brings us to a really difficult, painful question the author tackles directly. What about justice? What if the circumstances you're born into seem incredibly unfair? Why poverty, disability, war zones?
Yeah, this is tough. The author challenges us to rethink our definitions of blessing and curse. Is wealth automatically a blessing? Is poverty automatically a curse? History suggests otherwise.
Right. Many people who achieved great things started with very little external advantage.
So the idea of justice here isn't necessarily about everyone starting with the exact same resources, the same amount of money, or perfect health. That's not how life seems to work.
So what is it about?
It's more about the equal opportunity to strive, to grow, to make choices within whatever hand you were dealt, the opportunity to exercise your will.
The source uses examples, right? People like Stephen Hawking.
Right, facing immense physical limitations, but his will explored the cosmos. Or Nick Vujicic, born without limbs, choosing to inspire millions. Oprah Winfrey, overcoming incredible adversity.
They weren't defined by their initial circumstances, but by their response, by their will.
And that's the theological point. God doesn't judge your starting line. He judges how you ran the race from that starting line. Were you given wealth? Did you hoard it or use it to help? Were you given hardship? Did you despair? Or did you strive for good, maintain integrity, maybe use your pain to develop empathy?
So it's not the cards, it's how you play the hand. Your destiny isn't the circumstances, it's the sum of your choices within those circumstances.
That's the empowering perspective. You're writing it day by day, choice by choice.
Okay, we've talked about conscious choice, awareness, overcoming internal and external thieves. Now, let's shift to intention, specifically through prayer. This is another area full of confusion.
Definitely. For many people, prayer feels very transactional.
Like a cosmic vending machine, right? I put in my prayer coin, I expect result X to pop out.
Or it's seen as trying to bargain with God, trying to convince him to change the destiny script he already wrote.
Yeah. The author starts this section with a really simple moving image. Someone alone, maybe not even knowing the right words or rituals, just reaching out sincerely, like, if you're there, please just understand me.
And that sincerity, that state of the heart, is what the source identifies as the real power behind prayer. It's not about magic words.
So how does it work then, according to the source, if it's not magic?
The argument is fascinating. Prayer isn't something that breaks the laws of the universe to give you what you want. Instead, prayer is one of the fundamental laws woven into the fabric of existence by God.
Okay. Prayer as a law, like gravity, how does that work?
It's a law related to cause and effect, but the cause is the state of your inner being, your intention, your sincerity, your focus, your humility. When you achieve that state, you activate this law.
Hang on, doesn't that sound a bit like manifesting? Or New Age positive thinking, just willing things into existence? How is this different?
It's a crucial distinction. Manifesting often focuses on self-assertion, on using your will to impose your desires onto reality. Prayer, in this context, is rooted in submission and self-awareness alongside that intention.
Submission meaning?
Meaning aligning your will with a wisdom greater than your own ego. It's not just demanding, I want this. It's more like, this is my deepest need or hope, aligned with what is truly good. Thy will be done, but here is my sincere effort and plea. It requires a specific inner state.
A state of sincerity, humility, trust.
Right. And that state refines the intention. It
Yeah.
purifies it from just ego-driven desire. And that sincere, refined intention, coupled with the necessary real-world action and effort, that's what engages this universal law.
I like how this connects back to destiny. Usually we think destiny is fixed over there and prayer is our attempt to push against it. But this view suggests maybe prayer is already factored into the destiny. It's part of the system. You're not trying to break the system. You're participating within it, using a tool sincere intention that the system fully recognizes.
Exactly. Your act of praying, the sincerity you bring, the effort you make that becomes part of the unfolding cause and effect chain that is your destiny.
The intention itself, becomes a causal factor.
Yes. The source even uses analogies, maybe loosely, from physics like quantum entanglement, suggesting a universe that's interconnected, responsive. It hints that reality has the subtle language that responds not just to physical actions, but to the energy of focused, sincere, heartfelt intention.
Which might explain why prayer often feels more potent in certain environments. A quiet space, nature, late at night,
It's not that the place itself holds the magic, it's that you are different there.
more present, less distracted.
Exactly. You're closer to that state of inner quiet and sincerity. Real prayer isn't location dependent, it's state dependent. And when you reach that state, the source argues, God's response isn't limited by religious labels.
It hears the heart, not just the specific words or rituals.
Right. It mentions the sincerity of a Christian child's blessing, a Buddhist mother's plea for her child, even an atheist who, in a moment of desperation, genuinely cries out for help from something bigger. Sincerity transcends dogma.
But even if the external situation doesn't change immediately, or maybe ever, there's still a profound impact, isn't there?
Absolutely. The primary impact is often internal. Prayer changes you.
How so?
It's like rearranging the furniture inside your soul. It clears out the mental clutter. It helps you see your real priorities versus fleeting wants. It restores emotional balance, gives you perspective, offers inner peace, even amidst chaos.
That leads to the umbrella analogy the source uses, which I love.
Yeah, it's great. Prayer might not stop the storm raging outside. It might not change the external circumstances.
But it gives you an umbrella.
Exactly. It changes your experience of the storm. It gives you shelter, resilience, a way to navigate it without being completely soaked and broken. It's that internal refuge.
Okay, but then we have to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Unanswered prayers. If this is a law, if sincerity works, why does it so often feel like nothing happens? We plead, we cry out, and silence.
This is where we have to let go of that vending machine model completely. The source suggests several possibilities.
Okay.
1, maybe the answer did come, but not in the form you expected. Perhaps it was strength you didn't realize you had, or a subtle shift in perspective, or a new door opening quietly elsewhere because the first one closed.
We were looking for the big miracle, but the answer was smaller, quieter.
Could be. 2, maybe the delay itself was the answer. Protection from something harmful you couldn't see down the road if you'd gotten what you wanted right away.
Like a hidden mercy in the waiting.
Possibly. Or 3, maybe the no was actually a redirection towards something deeper, something more necessary for your soul's growth, even if it's painful. God isn't just a cosmic concierge service. The interaction is also about shaping you.
Shaping our character, not just fulfilling our requests.
Exactly. So unanswered prayer doesn't necessarily mean ignored prayer. It might mean the answer is wait, or no because there's something better or more necessary, or yes, but in a way you haven't recognized yet. It requires immense trust in a bigger picture.
Trusting that the universe, or God, is operating on a timeline, and with a wisdom that sees more than our immediate desires. That incorporates our plea, but aims for the highest good, which might look different than we imagine.
That's the essence of true acceptance, woven together with continued sincere effort and prayer.
All right, we've covered free will, God's knowledge, the challenge to our will, and the role of prayer and intention. But now we hit the rockiest ground, the question that shakes faith perhaps more than any other.
The problem of evil.
Yeah. If God is good, merciful, all-powerful, why does evil exist on such a horrific scale? War, starvation, children suffering, senseless violence, systemic injustice. How do we reconcile that with a loving creator? The author insists we can't just shrug this off.
No, definitely not. The source argues that facing this question is part of our responsibility, and its core answer is stark. Much of the evil we see is not directly from God. It's the outcome of misused human freedom.
Our choices again.
Our choices, our intellect, our hands. God give us the capacity to discover medicine or invent nerve gas. We can build schools or concentration camps. The potential for great good comes packaged with the potential for terrible evil.
There's a specific verse cited that really drives this home.
Yes, corruption has appeared on land and sea because of what people's hands have earned. It's blunt. It points a finger directly back at human actions and choices.
It takes it out of the realm of abstract fate and puts responsibility squarely on us.
It does. And this forces us to think about the nature of this life as a test or a trial. If God intervened instantly to stop every single harmful act.
Like stopping the bullet midair, stopping the lie before it's spoken.
Right. If he did that constantly, what would happen to our freedom? It would be meaningless. Our choices wouldn't matter because the consequences would always be managed from above.
Mm.
Goodness would just be compulsory.
So evil is allowed, in a sense, because its possibility is necessary for our freedom to mean anything, and for our choice for good to have genuine weight.
That's the difficult implication. Evil becomes a catalyst. It tests us. And crucially, it acts as a call to action. Your goodness, your courage, your compassion is needed here in this broken situation.
The source also suggests that suffering, as terrible as it is, can forge qualities that comfort never could.
Right. Awareness of injustice, deep empathy, resilience, inner strength. Often, these are born from navigating difficulty, not from lives of uninterrupted ease. Look at the figures who inspire us most. They almost always face significant adversity.
Okay, let's link this to justice in the afterlife. Because, let's face it, justice in this world often seems incomplete or entirely absent.
Absolutely. Terrible people seem to prosper, good people suffer terribly. It doesn't always balance out here.
So, heaven and hell, are they necessary to finally balance the scales?
The source presents them as exactly that. The continuation and completion of justice that couldn't be fully realized in our limited, messy world. But importantly, it reframes them.
Not just places you get sent to.
Less as external locations of reward and punishment imposed from outside, and more as the natural consequences or reflections of the life you lived, like harvesting the seeds you planted.
The author uses the idea of them being states of being. Can you unpack that a bit? It sounds profound.
Instead of focusing only on literal imagery, think of heaven as the ultimate state of inner peace, harmony, connection, wholeness the soul, fully realizing its potential for goodness and truth. It's the complete alignment you feel when you've lived with integrity.
Okay.
As the opposite, the state of inner chaos, disintegration, regret, the torment of a conscience that knows it betrayed its own truth. It's the final, inescapable consequence of a life built on choices that went against that inner knowing.
And crucially, you said these states don't just switch on after death.
Right, they begin now. That feeling of deep peace after a genuinely kind act, that's a taste of inner heaven. That gnawing anxiety, restlessness, or emptiness when you know you've done wrong, even if no one else knows. That's the echo of inner hell, starting here and now, reaching its fullness later.
Wow. Okay, that reframing also helps with another huge question. What about people who never heard a specific religious message? Those born in remote areas or before a certain prophet or in cultures with different beliefs, are they condemned for not knowing?
This is where the source offers immense comfort and clarifies divine justice. The principle is emphatic. God judges based on capacity and knowledge.
We do not punish a people until we send them a messenger. That kind of idea.
Exactly. Judgment isn't about ticking boxes on a specific religious checklist someone never received. It's based on what was their genuine intention? What knowledge did they have access to? What were they realistically able to do within their circumstances?
So if someone lived striving for goodness, honesty, compassion, according to the light they did have, even if it wasn't formally religious.
Their judgment reflects that integrity. God looks at the heart, the effort, the sincerity within the context of what was possible for that person. No one is held accountable for knowledge they couldn't access or burdens they couldn't bear.
This leads perfectly into the final piece, that internal light or guide everyone seems to possess.
Yes, the conscience. The source calls it the inner prophet, or uses the term fitra.
What is the fitra exactly?
It's described as this innate, primordial moral compass planted within every single human being by God before any external religion reaches them. It's the intuitive knowing of basic good and evil.
Like, you don't need a holy book to tell you that torturing someone is wrong, or that selfless kindness feels beautiful even.
Precisely. Deep down, we know injustice is wrong. We feel that inner resonance with compassion and truth. That's the fitra speaking.
So the role of religion or prophets isn't to install this moral compass.
No, it's to awaken it, to polish the mirror, remind us of what's already there, give it structure, and guide its application in complex life situations. But the foundation is innate.
And this is critical for accountability, right?
Yeah.
Because it means God can hold us responsible not just for the external laws we learned, but for whether we listen to the truth we already knew inside.
Exactly. That inner voice, the conscience, was the first messenger. It spoke clearly, regardless of culture or creed.
But how do we make sure we're hearing the fitra and not just social conditioning or ego or fear, which can often disguise themselves as morality?
That's the struggle. Self-interest often wants praise or advantage. Societal norms change. Fear justifies terrible things. The fitra, the source suggests, is quieter. more constant. Its reward is internal peace, not external gain. Its punishment is that inner dissonance, that feeling of being untrue to yourself.
And the source says this conscience can be ignored, suppressed, rationalized away.
Oh, yes. We're masters of excuse making. We can drown it out with noise, distractions, justifications.
But it doesn't die.
It never truly dies. It just goes underground. And it resurfaces as that unexplained anxiety, that sense of emptiness, that feeling of being lost or confused. It keeps nudging us, sometimes uncomfortably, until we turn back towards alignment, towards our authentic selves.
So listening to that inner voice, cultivating sensitivity to it, that's maybe the ultimate act of reclaiming our freedom and connecting with that divine spark within.
That's exactly the conclusion. It confirms we were designed fundamentally as aware, choosing beings equipped with everything we need to navigate towards truth.
Well, this has been quite a journey, a really essential deep dive, I think.
Hmm.
Bringing it all together, the message from the source seems clear. The answer to that huge destiny versus free will question isn't some neat, tidy sentence.
No, it's more like an ongoing awareness, an understanding that you are fundamentally free, you are deeply responsible, and you're equipped. You have a mind to think, and you have that inner compass, that conscience to guide you.
God isn't looking for robots, for machines that just follow programming. The source emphasizes he wants a human being who chooses, who engages, who strives, even who messes up sometimes but learns.
Yes. It suggests he actually loves the sincere search, the honest questions, even the mistakes made while genuinely trying. What's feared isn't doubt. It's apathy, it's silence, it's resignation.
He's waiting for our awareness to bloom, for us to consciously step up and use the freedom we have, not waiting for us to be paralyzed by fear.
The real human legacy, then, is found in exercising that awareness, that conscious choice day in and day out.
You are not just a product of fate or genes or circumstance. You are the outcome of your awareness interacting with all of those things. You are the choices you make.
Which brings us to the final thought, the one we want to leave you with, echoing the author's conclusion.
If you really take this in right now, that every step you take, every reaction, every word, is a real choice carrying real responsibility.
And that you genuinely possess the power to interrupt the old programs, to override the autopilot.
What is the very first truly free, truly conscious decision you will make today, starting right now?